You're listening to Talking Elvis with Vince Wright and Ian Gray.
Hello, welcome to episode 2 of Talking Elvis.
Yeah.
We've made it into the second edition, haven't we? Who's with me today?
It's me, it's him.
It's him, it's Ian Gray, and it's me.
Sorry, I've gone there. Sorry.
He's gone. Oh, he's gone. He's gone to come back in. He came in through the window.
Yeah,
Right.
thank you.
I think quite nicely now. Thank you to everybody who followed us on Facebook and gave a thumbs up for all the bits and all the listeners. Special thanks to Phil. You know who you are if you're listening again. He answered our 6 questions that we decided to offer anybody. And when he answered the topic of do you watch ETAs, we couldn't actually broadcast his response.
Oh, right, okay. That's good.
Yes, I think we're preaching to the converted. Phil, if you're out there, get in touch. We want you on the show.
If you've got any stories about your Elvis-related activities or whatever, then please do get in touch with us as well. We'd love to hear from those. And we'll read them out on the podcast and make you famous as well.
Talking of fame and fortune, not only were we on the radio last week, but we're also just recorded for another podcast, haven't we?
We have, yes. We are going to be appearing, if we haven't already appeared, depending on when this drops, appeared on Alaska's #1 podcast called The Jungle Room with Jamie Kay. So that's very, very exciting. We've gone global.
We're out there. We put our jumpers on and we Skyped Alaska. It was ever so good. There's a bit of a pattern here, isn't there? We're off to Denmark next week. We like the cold.
That's going to be cold, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes.
Maybe we should think about sort of like the Canary Islands or Ibiza or something for the next trip.
Yeah. So if you own a bar in Spain and have an Elvis tribute and you'd like to pay us to come and interview you, we're quite welcome.
Or if you've got any jobs going, that'd be great as well because it's really cold here.
It really is, isn't it? This Hurricane Higgins we've been having the last couple of days. It's not right, is it?
It's not right at all.
That's
no.
one for the old uns.
Right. Indeed. Right,
so good old Jamie. And do you think we can get Jamie on here and she can tell us all about life in Alaska?
I'm sure she'd love to be on here. Alaska's #1 Elvis fan. What could go wrong?
Talk about the good times with Talking Elvis.
So this is the part of the show where we say we've chose a topic this week, and it could be anything. It could be what shoe size did Elvis have, or did you babysit his cat when he went on holiday once? This all came about because me and you sit in pubs a lot and have the great debate.
It's true.
Elvis questions. We've done everything from who was the hottest co-star,
And Margaret.
yeah, to is Elvis dead? Yeah, we've all done all the
No.
We've done them all, haven't we? No.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I hope not. They buried him. So
What did he die of?
A Tuesday. No,
Hey!
so what have I chose for this one? Now I've gone deep, right? I've gone deep and meaningful
okay.
on this one. Now I've chose a topic here I think we've talked about a million times in a boozer.
All right.
I think it's one we could do a million episodes of this with. But we need input from the punters. We need to get the punters involved in this. So I'd like to start off, and between me and you, let's go over this. And my topic is Elvis Presley relevant in 2020?
That's deep.
This is one of the things that worries me to death. When we see Elvis on the telly, how is it depicted?
Well, if it's a news item or one of these items that you get on local television where there's a local Elvis conference going on, and even if they haven't got an Elvis tribute artist working there, they do go for the guy who looks like an Elvis tribute artist, don't they?
Yeah, they would never interview you in jeans and a t-shirt because you don't look the part, do you?
Right.
So the media has got this, and yeah, it's mainly the jumpsuit brigade, but they do go 50s as well, don't they?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's the world that's portrayed. Is that a good thing for the Elvis world or not, or does it just mock?
Well, it somewhat portrays Elvis as a figure of fun, doesn't it? Because
And a figure of fun is just enough to give the kids a treat.
So, yes, moving on from that blatant advertising. The figure of fun sort of aspect of it, because people who are not Elvis fans will look at that and go, oh, look, there's a guy who's overweight and he's wearing a jumpsuit. and look at his hair. He's got the sideburns and this stuff. But his face never ever looks like Elvis, does it?
Well, no, I mean, to be honest, going down the ETA, the tribute artist road, what is the chances in reality of you having a talent to sound like somebody and look like somebody? And I'm not knocking them at this point. I'll knock them later. My next question then is, historically, how important is Elvis in music history?
Well, he's the first of everything, isn't he?
Yeah. So why does he become the figure of fun?
Because around about the 70s time is when we've got most sort of glamour footage. It was the first era, wasn't it, of the huge stadium filling rock star, even though Elvis didn't really do stadiums one. He did the one at Houston, of course. But
so do you think then, if Elvis had come out of the 70s, went back to jeans and a t-shirt and died in the 80s, the 70s bit would have been forgotten?
Every chance. Yeah, because
I think that's a good
Elvis,
point.
Elvis may have gone shoulder pads and hairspray, mightn't he? Well, he had hairspray anyway, but we could have gone a bit like the David Bowie route, because David Bowie always reinvented himself, didn't he, for whatever the era was?
Yeah. So I think the 80s would have been a good point to do that. Yeah. But if you see an article about the Beatles on the telly, do we get hundreds of people dressed as Sergeant Pepper?
We get some, don't we? Remember that Magical Mystery tour we did in Liverpool? There was people dressed as a Sergeant Pepper.
Yeah, I mean, that was like a hen night, wasn't it? A hen night on the bus with them. And I think that's... so do you think generally nostalgia means dressing up then? Is it not a bad thing in that case? Should we take people putting a jumpsuit on and going playing real much?
It's associated with people having fun, isn't it?
Yeah, but do we really see Elvis as the musical icon? Do you think that we look at Buddy Holly, and I know he was a producer and a genius and everything else, but we don't tend to mock the Buddy Holly and the Eddie Cochrans because they died so young? So if Elvis had died before he joined the army, would that have changed the thing now?
It would have been a permanent reminder to the Teddy Boy era, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I think
that
Brill Cream era type of thing.
So what is the future of Elvis then? How will this come? What have we got next? We've got an animated series coming, haven't we?
Agent King is coming to Netflix, apparently.
Yeah.
And from looking at the early artwork to that is very much an early 70s depiction of Elvis, isn't it? Yeah. So I think we're stuck with the 70s Elvis. I think it's only, well, let's face it, the only icon Elvis that we see in the modern day done by a regular person is 50s or 70s. We don't see anything in the 60s. We very rarely see something from 68.
Yeah, you get the black suits, don't you? The black leather.
Very occasionally.
Yeah, and then but it's all white and rhinestones. So as an icon, as in Marilyn Monroe and James Dean, do you think Elvis still sits there in the general public's view?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I do. I really do. Otherwise, why would they continue to use his music in advertisements?
Yeah.
Why would they play a little less conversation at sporting events? And they do it to death, by the way. If you go to sporting events, there's something you'll have to experience one day. I mean, I was at the Cricket World Cup last year. I went to a few games, and the music was all the same for every single game that I went to. But a little less conversation was always there, and they always played it once or twice during the day.
The remix.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Because that was a very good thing, because that catapulted Elvis back into the current thinking of the public, if you like.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know whether you found, but when that came out, I talked to loads of people who had no idea it was Elvis. It was so good. I mean, the reimagining of what do we call it? The RPO, the Philharmonic Orchestra, has kind of kept the feel of Elvis. That one was a reinvention. That was like when the modern day producer finds some has-been and they dig them out the woodwork and they go, let's do something different. That was amazing, but that's a great song on its own right. How would you expect to hear Hound Dog at the cricket?
Absolutely not. No.
No, and that's the so historically, we get on the radio the handful of the greatest hits. We get the KTL 40 greatest played on the radio generally, unless you know somebody that does an Elvis show in Cambridge.
Yeah. We'll have to get onto that one.
Oh.
It's his. I mean, there's a local barber's near where I live, and in the picture they've got in the window, so they've got a picture of Elvis from Blue Hawaii, and it's advertising a range of gels and Brill creams. So that Elvis has been used to sell things.
Oh, that's interesting. We'll have to take a photo of that. We'll have that on the website.
Yeah. So it's so maybe as with the internet getting more relevant in people's lives and stuff like this, maybe people are going, well, we saw Johnny's jumpsuit down the pub last night, so let's have a think about it. They played some Elvis songs while he wasn't on as well, so but I hadn't heard that one, so let's go with a bit of a research. Let's have a look on YouTube. Let's have a look on, and then you'll see all these movies coming on. So relevancy starts to sort of generate like a ripple effect.
Yeah.
And we're getting sort of a little bit more of the younger Elvis coming to it as well. So maybe it's not just jumpsuit Elvis that we've got to look forward to, So that could lead to then future releases. What are we going to get? Do you think they've done the Royal Philharmonic to death? That's not going to happen again. We probably will get independent companies do it. We've already had Larry, what's his name, doing it, haven't we? Doing the.
Oh yes, we've just had that.
Can't remember his last name.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not Larry David, is it? That's
it's unimportant, isn't it?
It really is. Yeah.
It's the one with a very dodgy picture on the back cover, isn't it?
It really is. Yeah, and lots of yakety sax going on as well. So.
Yeah, but there has just been another one of these things. They've just made a mono to stereo, haven't they?
They have, yes. Yeah.
Which is a little bit pointless. Yeah, but for the general public releases, I mean, you get the odd Elvis movie on Netflix or Amazon, but you can buy them, but they're not just there as a sort of read. If you look on those at what's included in Prime, it's always the last 24 hours. Elvis, is he dead? It's always those cheesy documentaries, isn't it? Yeah.
Had he not been relevant at all, then a big, massive company like HBO would not be making The Searcher, would they?
Yeah. So The Searcher, for me, is a great example of this, because that was pushing him as the musical icon, wasn't it?
Yes.
That was getting there. Now, I listened to all sorts of stations and things like Radio 6. I will hear some 50s rock and roll, and I very rarely hear an Elvis unless it's an article about it. About a new release like that, or about something at the Hard Rock Cafe or something. So they never seem to have it on the playlist as such, where, because it's a decent music channel and it's not just that your other channels are playing, I feel that they don't keep him on the playlist so much.
Well, Elvis was more commercial rock and roll, wasn't he, when he came post 55, 56 anyway, wasn't he? I mean, the early stuff he did, when he was still at before he transferred over to RCA. But when he got to RCA, he became less of a traditional rock and roll sound, didn't he? And went into 50s commercial rock and roll rather than the traditional. That's probably why you wouldn't hear so many songs. We know those songs out there exist.
Yeah, but to me, I listen to some of the songs and they will play a Beatles. They'll play some early Beatles stuff, and I'm going, well, actually, please me, and no, let's not use that one. Let's use Twist and Shout. It's not their song; they didn't write it, but it's an iconic thing that you would hear on the show there. Surely, that Blue Suede Shoes has the same merit.
It's too clean, isn't it? Is it too clean?
Oh, I don't know.
Because the original by Carl was very sort of stop and start, wasn't it? Whereas Elvis was slick, it was loud, it was brash.
Well, isn't that a good thing?
Well, of course, it is a good thing. I'm trying to compare him to other sort of rock and rollers, like maybe Bill Haley, people like that. Maybe that's the traditional rock and roll sound that they're looking for. Even if you come forward 30, 40 years, the Stray Cats and people like that, that's more umpa dumper, isn't it? It's as a phrase we coined over the years.
Yeah. But again, you wouldn't have a lot of rockabilly like that for the masses, would you? That wouldn't fill.
But isn't that the sort of stuff that you're hearing on the radio? Rockabilly rather than rock and roll.
Well, no. I think that it's being the 50s is the 60s, according to media these days, is when pop music started.
Yeah.
They've kind of deleted the 50s. So I feel that the Elvis as not getting the play unless it's an oldies channel because of that. So this whole, you see a picture of Marilyn Monroe on a lunchbox, it's iconic, but in the same way as Betty Boop or something. We might have the Elvis for that, but Elvis has the importance of the music. It's getting lost, isn't it? I don't think kids know the history. They don't know the musical heritage.
It's kind of been forgotten, hasn't it?
Yeah.
And the first thing I said in this conversation, Elvis was the first in everything.
Yeah.
And he although he didn't invent it, that's not what we're calling it first. What we're calling is records broken, records sold, number of hits on the modern day YouTube.
Yeah. Now that's interesting again, because if he's got 8 million followers or whatever it is on, 80 billion gazillion followers on this, that, and the other, the future of them, and you have to go to Elvis Presley Enterprises then, don't you? You have to go and look at Graceland and go, well, what have they've turned to the ETA market. So isn't it weird that they are pushing the ETA market, yet we haven't had a legit release of Elvis in concert or a rehash with all the on-tour footage?
Well, Elvis, Graceland has turned into Disneyland, hasn't it?
Yeah.
It is the home of Elvis. Of course it is. But the area is unrecognisable from the area that Elvis lived in. Oh
yeah, it is. I like you say Disneyland's a good way of putting it. So they're looking, at pounds, shillings, and pence, and going for the ETA market. A fan who's a collector. Let's call it a collector, not a fan.
Okay. All right.
If you call it a collector who wants all the Follow That Dream CDs, I got bored of it's another 1970s concert of the same amount of tracks. Yeah. Where I want something new, and then I see all this stuff for on tour still in the vaults. And that could be, all the backstage stuff, the off mic stuff. I think, the interview, you've got a lot of stuff there that could have been produced.
It's a bit frustrating, isn't it? Because I personally wouldn't go all the way to Memphis and enjoy an Elvis tribute artist competition that they're going to be having in August. I can't see the point of that, because the point of going to Memphis is the home of Elvis. Yeah,
I just really
go with the flow.
I want to campaign for giving Elvis back to the Elvis fans. I want it back to the music lovers. I want people who appreciate the Doors and the Stones to go, hang on a minute, this is all because not always some sad old fat bloke who died on the toilet.
Do you want it to go back to where they're not promoting it as much then? Because their idea of promoting it is to get a bloke in a jumpsuit, isn't it?
So is that the answer?
So do you take that away from people who otherwise wouldn't be fans? Because that's how Elvis fans are being attracted, I guess, isn't it? I mean, look at it. Let's face it. You go to a pub when Elvis man's on stage. They're pretty much full of people who are not traditional fans like us, aren't they?
Okay. What we should do is one night, me and you go to a pub where they've got just a random pub, and we survey the audience. See
All right.
whether they own anything, whether they are changing to own anything, or whether this is just a bit of a laugh. We all put a silly quiff on and we get pickled and we go home. I think the majority
Well,
in there are 40 greatest at best.
you had me at let's go to the pub, so anything else is a bonus, isn't it?
We're going to put that bit on loop. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think so for me, all these little things we've talked about there, we could expand into sections of their own. So I think if you're out there with an opinion, and I'm sure you are, right, we need to hear from you because we want to get you on here. And I'd like to break each one of those down into a section because there's a group on Facebook trying to get onto a release. There's loads of people talking about the 77 complete concerts that are there and they've not been released. There's people who are for and against the ETAs. I think this is the making of a good few shows, and get the more the better. Get more people talking about it. About is it good, is it bad? What do you think?
Let us know what you think. So we're not going to try and categorize you. You come on the show and we can have a bit of a row. So you can go to the Facebook page, Talking Elvis, or you can email either myself or Vince on ian@talkingelvis.co.uk or vince@talkingelvis.co.uk, and that'll be fun. And you can come on the show. You can send us an email, and we'll read out your questions and stuff like that. So
you can write us a nasty letter.
So what are you? Are you a casual fan? Are you an anorak fan? Are you a cardigan fan? And if you don't know what those means, then
we'll do an episode on the cardies. Yes.
Yeah. So I think this is, like you say, this could be up and running for quite a while.
And I think we've got plenty more plans. I thought, because where are we going at the end of this week?
Oh, we're off to Randers in Denmark to see Henrik at his Memphis mansion.
So what are we going to see there? So I'm going to try and interview a few people there.
You know what? It's because it's a Valentine's weekend. There has got to be something going on, hasn't there? I mean, I've had a quick look on the website and I can't really see much, which is not related to hearts and kisses and all this sort of stuff. We're not doing any of that nonsense. But there must be some sort of entertainment going on, mustn't there?
There's got to be something. So we'll come back and feed that all back to you because we've been wanting to do this for years. But keep coming in. We'll have another episode next week. I think this is just food for thought.
It's such. You know what? It's not a minefield, is it? What is it? It's a drop in the ocean. With all of these ripples coming out and affecting different people in different ways. We got so much material to come your way.
We Camera, where we go to the beer festivals.
Indeed, yes.
We need the campaign for real Elvis. Yes.
That sounds like the French. Camera.
Oh, you've just alienated the nation. Are we on the radio this week?
Yes, we are. We are going to be talking stuff and nonsense about nothing, as per usual. So you can listen to us. You can listen live in the UK between 6 and 7 on www.camfm.co.uk, or you can go to that same address and look up shows, scroll down, get Elvis in Cambridge up, and you can listen to the last 4 shows as well. How good is that?
Oh, yes. All good. I think thank you very much, Mr. Gray.
Thank you, sir. It's been a pleasure, and let's have a proper good old row over a couple of pints in Denmark next weekend.
I've got to do some research. What's the best ale in Denmark? That's what I've got to type into Google now. Right?
Probably.
Probably. Yeah, of course. Thank you very much for listening, everybody. Catch you all again soon.
Bye for now.
Find us at www.talkingelvis.co.uk or Facebook or YouTube or Spotify. In fact, any place you get your podcasts.